Welcome back, everybody, to your daily update on the state of the Malazan Empire. And we're here today to finish talking about the Bonehunters, because I just finished reading it, rereading it, or whatever you want to call it, a couple of minutes ago. Well, like half an hour or hour ago. I tried to decompress a bit to actually collect my thoughts and stuff. We'll see how good that works, because today was a rather busy day, because I got myself a new ID and I dropped off 100 packages at the post office. And when I came back from my ID, getting my ID sorted out, I got a call from a courier that says, "I have these like 300 vinyl LPs for you. Are you at home?" And I'm like, "Nope, I'm not at home. But you can drop them outside my house. It's no problem. I'll be back in like 10 minutes." So I came back and I had like a pallet and like 15 boxes of vinyls that I had to carry up, that we had to carry up like 3 flights of stairs. So yeah, that's been my day. So if anyone needs first class Spanish heavy metal, let me know. I do have a bit of that. But now let's get into the Bone Hunters. Cheers. All right. So the Bone Hunters ends with like the last 3 chapters basically and the epilogue, but there's once again one of those huge set piece battles that Steven Erikson is so incredibly good at writing. The whole scenes around Malaz Island are done incredibly well, like choreographed in a way that you could just like, take that bit and make it into like a movie, just like with Igatan. And there's a bunch of reasons why that works so well once again. So yeah, there's a lot of battle going on. There's still quite a bit of like interesting thoughts and stuff in there, before the whole book ends with something of a big break in Malazan politics and all of that, and sets us up for what will happen in Reaper's Gale, or so we can assume. But what do I mean? Yes, the adjunct Tavora is sighted up to Moxhole, like the castle where it all begins in Gardens of the Moon, to talk to the Empress, to find the Empress, and our good buddy Malik Rel, who is someone I really need to know more about. I hope that Esselmont's Gistal finally comes out relatively soon, so I can actually figure that shit out. And obviously Coverlo Dom, and the adjunct is then sort of defying the Empress in some regards, and shit goes down, and a lot of people almost die, and all of that. But let's look at the interesting aspect, or for me, interesting aspects. So one thing I found very nice, and like just like for the idea of symmetry, is while the fleet of the 14th Army enters the harbor of Malaz Island, you have that scene with the Empress, Lasine, and Pearl standing up and in the courtyard of Moxhole and looking down on the harbor, and it very much parallels the scene from the prologue of Gardens of the Moon, where you have a Whiskey Jack standing there. Well, there's also Fiddler, but it's also at some point Lasine coming in there. So once again, you have that. Also, the Weather Vane gets a few small stage moments again with turning around and squealing. So yeah, there's that, and I just like found it interesting to see how that works with it. That's how that scene mirrors in a way, or recalls the opening of Gardens of the Moon, when you have Pearl looking down and the Empress coming up from behind and talking to him and so forth. So there's that. That's just nice to reestablish the character of Malaz Island, Malaz City, which is interesting because it's not a good place, is what it is. So yeah, there's that. Then we have the scene, like the okay, I'll try to go through these things sort of ordered, although my brain is a bit scattered today, more scattered than usual. The next interesting thing, or next thing that I found personally very touching, and also one of those small moments where I feel they tell us a lot about the Malazan Book of the Fallen and how Stephen Erikson writes or thinks about certain characters in a way. And that is this when we come to the point where Fiddler, Gessler, and Stormy sit with a Master Sergeant Brazentooth, whatever. And Fiddler starts playing playing the fiddle actually, and asks for names of lost soldiers, of fallen soldiers that need to be remembered while he's playing the dirge. And that is the interesting thing. There is that Gessler, among the first the names he drops, there is Felisin Paran, where he's basically sums up the problem that not the problem with Felisin Paran, because there's no problem with her, but sums up the tragedy of Felisin Paran in a very few succinct words. And I feel like, there's been a bunch of videos discussing Felisin Paran. I've said a few things about Felisin at some point as well. And I feel this one really sums up the issue rather well, which is she didn't have a lot of good things coming to her, a lot of shit basically coming to her. And when good things came, she wasn't able to see and grab them, because once you hurt so much, you can just turn that hurt back at the world. That's Felisin Paran in a nutshell. And if you don't see the pathos and tragedy of that, then I can't help anyone anywhere. But so yeah, that's what I feel is while people wonder about Felisin Paran, and Stephen Erikson writes all these long essays on the topic and gets into arguments with people. And it's right there in 2 sentences that Gessler puts out. So yeah, go figure. read the damn books is probably the best answer to a lot of Malazan questions and discussions. But so yeah, there's that, and I just wanted to point that out, because the fact that in that list of all these people that they're remembering, all these people, Culp, Truth, Pella, but also Whiskey Jack, Dewjack, all of these people that we all see as good guys, or at least worthy heroes, Felisin Paran is not amiss in that is not deemed to be unworthy in that list of people to mourn and to empathize with, in a way, mostly to mourn, obviously, and to grieve for. And I feel that's the point there. That someone who met her for 5 minutes, basically, not very long, basically, Gessler realized that we need to grieve for Felisin Paran, and there's something, isn't there? So yeah, once again, that's one of those small bits where we are really coming close to, not to the truth, but close to the heart of what drives the Malazan Book of the Fallen. Is one of these small things. And there's more going on. I guess that's the interesting thing, that I don't know if I realized it the first time I was reading it, but actually Fiddler, Fiddler is one of the most central characters of this of the Malazan Book of the Fallen, and we start to figure that out at this point. But Fiddler's playing the fiddle is very much the main theme there, and I find this very I find this personally very interesting, because writing about music, or using music and sound in a way in writing, is a rather difficult and rare thing, because those are different sensual qualities in writing about some of them is easier than about others. It's like writing about colors is difficult enough unless you use ochre for most things. But, these kind of work, but describing music in words is something that is extremely difficult. And yet music is one of those very, very central things, at least for me, obviously for me especially. But music is something that drives, so that transport, that's able to convey emotions on a non-verbal level that a lot of other things are not able. I feel that's like the reason why writing and reading about music in a meaningful way is so extremely difficult, because music's power lies in conveying emotions and experiences on a non-verbal level. Now, obviously, art in general does that. If you look at painting or sculptures or whatever, they also convey meaning and emotions in a non-verbal way. But I don't know. Maybe it's because both writing and music are also art forms that are temporal. Like they proceed. You have a picture. It's basic most pictures. I mean, obviously, they're with like more contemporary art. There's obviously alternatives and like options and stuff like that. But in general, a painting is a static piece of art, right? It's painted. It's done. Same with a sculpture. It's there. That's it. But music changes over time, just as writing is like writing. I mean, while a book is written or a song is written, we as consumers or spectators or whatever you want to call it, we as the people who experience that particular piece of art, we are experience it in time. And it unfolds within time, so they are more akin to each other than, say, painting and writing, I guess. Anyway, these were just like weird ramblings. I just feel that Fiddler's expressing all his feelings through through playing the fiddle in this scene is important, because there he can say things, or like not say things, but make things known or experienceable. Is that a word? That are not possible. That it's not possible to verbalize and put into actual words. And we see that through the like near the end of their like session where he plays, when he's basically meditating and arguing about the nature of peace and war, about war and peace. And we have his thoughts, and then we realize that those thoughts are basically manifest themselves through the music, which everyone in the room can actually realize and understand. And that's the amazing thing there. And in those thoughts about the question if peace actually does exist or not, or if peace is just a goal that is ever unreachable, there's a lot of there's a lot in there, because does true peace really exist? What does true peace mean in most cases? I mean, obviously, like the mundane answer is rather easy, but that's not where this goes, because it's a peace as an absence of conflict and competition and problematic competition that leaves like victims behind, is something that we have in everyday life all the time. So the idea of peace being unattainable is a valuable one, and we'll see another answer in the future about how to attain peace that seems, or like absolute peace. And I'm not going to go say more about that, but that's somewhere in there. And then the other thing is, that's where I want to go next, I guess, is that Fiddlers playing this music winds itself through the entire scene. By scene, I mean the entire, like, the entire set piece within Malaz Island. It winds itself through that, and you have all these different people hearing the music because it's like deeper. It's not just like audible. It's like hearing this music in the back of their minds while Fiddler is playing, and that on the one hand shows that these emotions and these ideas, these meditations on the nature of conflict and the nature of war and all of that, that Fiddlers are something that everyone in that situation, in that battle, in that conflict, that whole like mess in Mala's Island is debating at the back of their minds as well. And on the other hand, and this is what I meant when I said it's a very cinematic part, is like you can just as well imagine this with like these cutscenes and so forth in a movie, right? Where you see Fiddler start playing the violin, like fiddle or whatever you want to call it, and the music starts spilling out, and then the soundtrack of your movie picks it up, and it shows up in all these other scenes while you cut around, and then you always cut back to that. You could possibly have it like fade into Fiddler playing and then fading back to the next battle scene or whatever. So it has this very cinematic aspect to it as well, which is what I meant when I said that like the Mala's Island part is something of a set piece, such similar to the Battle of Igatan at the beginning of book 2 being such a set piece where you have these extremely well written or precisely written action scenes and combat scenes of the street combat like you would have in your like modern warfare movie, modern war movie, or I don't know, Black Hawk Down or whatever. So there's that, which, once again, is just like from the way this, mostly the main scene there is crafted, is just pretty fucking impressive, is what I'm trying to say here. So yeah, there's that. Then you have the more absurdist parts of it, and there is a lot of absurd stuff happening. That you have your really funny / tragic conversations between Banascar and Hellion, their reunion of sorts, which has a lot of pathos, and they don't remember at like the way they are unable to communicate, but still get deal with their issues by getting drunk. I feel there's like we need to talk about the whole like Hellion alcohol situation at some point. I'm just not sure if I'm ready to do that right now. Yeah, so you have that tragic part there. You have, I mean, there's so much pathos in this whole thing. The idea of Pearl being the fucking idiot that he is because he just didn't realize or didn't notice that, just doesn't know that Lostara Yil is still alive. That leading him to then killing Kalam, probably out of vengeance in a way because of whatever reasons and so forth. I mean, yeah, because he wants to hurt the adjunct whom he blames for Lostara's death, and then that basically ending up with him being dead and Lostara being the one who has to basically end his suffering. There's so much fucking pathos in this, and I mean, like your real big Greek tragedy pathos, your Oedipus kind of tragic pathos. Also, Lostara Yil having to for different reasons, having to kill both Teneberalta and Tene Beralta, however to pronounce the guy, and Pearl in one night. That's like the other thing there. Lostara Yil having to do both. It's like she does the one for her god, and she does the other one also basically, well, the other one more out of her personal because basically out of love. But that's the thing, and this is important for what will come afterwards. But Lostara Yil severs both her loyalties in this one night. And she does it. Like, she's actively severing them, right? She kills her commander and then she kills her lover, or her, like, her love or her lover. We don't know. Difficult to formulate here, I guess. But she does both, and she does both out of different reasons. And you could argue that both that she doesn't have like a lot of choice there. I mean, she doesn't have any choice in the end with Pearl, because he's dead, and Tenebaralta has gone over to the crippled god, and is an idiot. And also, you see, yeah, she doesn't have a lot of options there, but it's still her actually doing that. And I feel that's important for her character, because it shows us a lot more about Lostara Hill, who is one of the most interesting characters in the Malazan Book of the Fallen, because we don't get that much out of her. And she still feels very, very real in a way to me. So there's that. Whew. What else? The scene with Stormy and the Talana Mass is just so funny. When he just gives him back the sword, and he's like, "It's scratched," and and Stormy's like, "Well, I'm certainly like, humor is dead." That was so funny. I'm sorry. I just really enjoyed that bit. It's like this, to have Talana and Mass showing really dry humor is just really cool. So yeah, there's that. Um, we kind of get a resolution to the whole timbre thing with the Erisal. The whole Erisal situation is something that I feel is extremely important. I have just not fully worked out why it is so important. But I feel there's like some huge circular thing going on with the aerosol, which is something I need to think about more when I'm either more sober or more drunk and have slept more and done more thinking. Anyway, Tamber is dead. The aerosol has apparently sort of possessed Tamber in a way that probably similar to what Cotillion did with Upsalar and Sori at the time, in a way. Um, yeah. The adjunct is now also completely severed from everything. She seems to have accepted the fact that she needs to do something for the entirety of humanity. Um, I feel like I would like to talk more about Lacine in this point, because I feel bad for Lacine. I mean, she's making some dumb decisions there, but they also are very like necessary from her point of view. But I feel really bad for Lacine once again. But I feel also that putting like more Lacine ramblings in here would be a, yeah, because yes, I've read the Esselmont novels. I have a more complete image of Lacine's character, I guess, than this, and I don't want to spoil anything. So anyway, I feel bad for her. Whereas Corbolo Dom still is the, I don't know, dumb knucklehead idiot that he seems to be, and Malik Rel. I still wonder about Malik Rel's motivations, and I'm still not sure. Right? I've said that before. That's why I want to really read the Gistal, because I'm like, why does that guy really, really want all that power? What's driving him? Like with the scene, I know why she did what she did when she took over the Empire. Because she's like the only motherfucker in that entire cabal with a sense of duty, who realized that someone needs to actually take care of the Empire. She fucks it up, but she does that. And that's sort of what you have behind that, I guess. But like, why is Malik Rel doing that instead of just, I don't know, lazing around, living the life of a happy. I don't want to say happy, but lazing around, being the living the soft life of a successful priest. Anyway, we don't know. I don't know yet. I, as I said, I'm hoping for the Gistel, and I can't wait to read because I'm fascinated by Malik Rel as a character. I feel like there's more there. What else? Well, we now learn that Withal has apparently married Sanderlath through Corlad, which is a slightly fraught relationship, I would say. But yeah, all of that stuff works out. We have the situation. All right, that's an interesting point that I feel is important to keep in mind. Korik killing that Untan palace captain. I forgot his name. No, he's not important. He dies. Killing that captain while they're defending or not yet defending. That's an important thing to keep in mind for later things that happen with Korik. Is what I feel. I mean, I'm just saying that. So, all right, there's that. Now let's leave the Malazan part behind and look at the last chapter for a moment. Al Rada'an gets his sort of resolution by actually like this short-lived reunion with Tral Sangar. It's tragic, obviously, but at least he gets that. So he can die a less tortured spirit. We, for the first time, actually really see Icarium Unleashed, which just ups my respect for Mappo. Because, I mean, I don't know for how long Mappo has been the companion of Icarium, but living with that all the time and have seen that, like, you see how it basically breaks terror like weed, the first time he sees that, and like Mappo has lived with that for like hundreds of years, thousands of years, I guess. That, yeah. On the other hand, also, I feel so bad for Icarium. I feel so bad for Icarium because he kind of loses that memory every time he does that, and he's such a good guy. Like, Icarium is like, there's a lot of people getting a raw deal in the Malazan universe, but Icarium is probably one of the ones who got one of the roughest ones in the end, if you like look at the whole thing. But that's a different, I guess, also a discussion for a different time. But once again, that scene, we finally see that. We see Quick Ben doing a lot of, like, really brutal sorcery, which, that's something that I'm not quite sure I'm super happy with, but I feel it's, yeah. No, that's, but you see that situation. We also see, we learn that Tral Sengar has gotten a new job. He's apparently Knight of High House Shadow at this point. When he goes up against Icarium, that kind of shows also. Yeah. So yeah, it seems like everything is converging on the Lether Empire now. Karsa's going there, Icarium's going there. Let's see where the Adjunct and the 14th Army is going, together with their parish Greyhelms, who are firmly sworn to Adjunct Tavora, who's now, I don't know if she's still an adjunct at this point. That's a whole other question. Can you actually stop being the Empress's adjunct? Or do you remain her adjunct even if you disobey her will? Now I know there's always that argument with like the adjunct is like her hand, her arm. We've all seen Evil Dead 1 and 2, we know that having a hand doesn't always mean that hand does what you want, right? Anyway, let's end it on that. I'm once again blown away by this book, and I will start Reaper's Gale tomorrow, and that will be interesting. And I have an idea for a video for Saturday, maybe, or next week, depending on how far I get along with Reaper's Gale and how confident I feel about that. So yeah, have a great, what's it, Tuesday? I'll try to not do as much label stuff tomorrow and get more reading done, and I'll see you then. Cheers.